Professor Stephen Hawking, the great theoretical physicist, has changed his mind. He's announced in a book which is shortly to be published in the UK that there's no place for God in the history of the universe. Professor Hawking thinks of the universe like one of those self-pitching tents. They are supplied folded and folded and folded, and with a very ingenious system of sort of elastic and very bendy rods, so that when you cautiously take the tent out of its packing and throw it in the air, it suddenly becomes a tent with a great thwack and falls to the ground. So it takes about a minute to pitch it. In the same way, Professor Hawking thinks of the beginning of all things like a tent that's so perfectly made, it just goes whack and everything follows. He used to think of the universe like an old-fashioned tent that needs someone to assemble the poles, find the little hole in the top where they go in, and unfold the tent in an enormous sort of mess on the ground, usually when it's raining, and then put it up bit by bit. If you've ever tried to do that yourself, you'll know how confusing it can get. And you need someone who, especially if it's raining or if there's a lot of wind, you need someone who can really knows how to do it. And so, for example, if you were to go into the back of your garden and find an old-fashioned tent there, pitched, with all the guy ropes carefully pegged in the ground, you'd know there'd been somebody there. In the same way, Professor Hawking used to think the universe was like that. You knew there'd been a God there. But now he sees the universe as not requiring anything to set it in motion, as if a self-erecting tent had blown from another garden into yours. Might be rather odd, but there you are. You don't need someone to have pitched it. Well, of course, the physicists of the world take perhaps 10 years to learn the depth and subtlety of Professor Hawking's thought. And I can't claim to have explained it on the basis of having read the Wikipedia article. But that's what he seems to be getting at. You don't need a God to explain the intricate and beautiful pattern of the universe. God isn't required. But this God that Professor Hawking doesn't require is not the God of the Christian scriptures. Professor Hawking's God is like a great physicist, coolly intelligent. Professor Hawking's God spends a very long time doing sums on an infinitely large blackboard, checks the sums are correct, and then presses a button, big bang, and it all happens. The physicist then sits down and perhaps watches the Big Bang or reads a book. Professor Hawking's God has always been distant from the universe. Whereas the God of the Scriptures, he's always mysteriously present, shaping and questioning and challenging us and skewing our world. so that it gives life. Some friends of mine recently moved into a vicarage in London, and they set all their furniture carefully against the wall on moving in and went to bed. The following morning they woke up and found that their sofas and the piano had during the night made a mysterious journey from one wall to the other. There were no carpets down, and the floor was just imperceptibly sloped. So gradually during the night, while everyone was sleeping, the piano and the sofas made a little journey across the floor. Out of that there was a ghost. In the same way, Christians believe that the universe is mysteriously sloped or skewered or shaped by God. The more we open ourselves to the wonder of the universe, the more we open ourselves to its beauty, and we, in wondering awe, see it as a gift that we're given, the more we discover the presence of God. St. Anselm, the great Archbishop of Canterbury, put it like this: I believe in order to understand. I believe in order to understand. So as Christians, as we open ourselves to faith and take joy in the presence, in the great universe we've been given, in its breadth and beauty and depth, the more we open ourselves to the beauty and joy that other human beings give us, the more we discover this mysterious shaping of all things by God, this skewering, this sloping of the universe towards God. So rather than Professor Hawking's distant mathematical God, the Christian scriptures proclaim a God of love and mercy and presence and gift, pictured rather well by the prophet Amos, at least implicitly in our reading today. The God of the prophets is not a cool and distant God, but a barmaid who keeps topping up our pint generously so that we will have full measure. The beer flows over. Our God is a baker who tucks an extra roll in with our order of 12 bread loaves. Our God is a poor estate agent who consistently undercharges us. In his love for us, Jesus is able to see God's mercy present in even a crooked bank manager who, as he's about to be sacked, goes round his clients who are maxed out on their credit cards and gives them a little bit of, what's the phrase? Easy in their credit accounts so that they don't go bust. Would that my bank manager were as crooked. Professor Hawking